I'm here this evening with Rich Wellins, a Temple member who is a nominee for our new Board of Trustees for our Faces of Temple Emanuel series. Rich, how are you this evening?
I am doing fine. How are you?
I'm hanging in there. I'm excited. Tonight is the Pittsburgh citywide Tikkun Le'el Shavuot. So if I could put in a plug, I'll be teaching at 9 o'clock tonight, followed by colleagues all across the city. Anyone who wants to chime in can shoot me a comment on Facebook, and I'm happy to get you that link. But we're not here to talk about me. Tell me about you. Where are we right now? Are you in your home?
In my home and my little office that we share. We downsized a little bit from 3 years ago, so most space we share. So
Fantastic. And I know that I've had...
To the right is a picture of my great-great-grandfather. My wife's great-great-grandfather. So I think you can see that.
Absolutely. Very good. So I know that I've had the privilege and pleasure of being at your house before. Remind me and everyone else what neighborhood you're living in?
Upper St. Clair, about 2 miles away from Temple.
Wonderful. So speaking of Temple, you agreed to that call from the nominating committee to serve on the Board of Trustees, and then the world kind of turned upside down, and your leadership voice has become magnified because this is truly a definitional time in Temple's history. How did they convince you to say yes?
Well, I think part of it is I'm now retired, have been for 2 years, and am looking at ways to get re-engaged in activities that could be meaningful for me, our family, the Temple community. So I'm looking for ways to use my time and use my skills, productively and in a way that engages me. And I thought the Temple board would be a good opportunity. I think the second reason is in part because of the energy and passion that you bring to your new position. And it seems like an opportune time because it does seem like there's a change in the wind. I think there already has been change, and I see that change as positive. So I think that's the second reason. A third reason is a little bit of a workaholic. So I had a lot of friends at work. I have a very few close friends, mostly not in Pittsburgh. And so I'm hoping that this opportunity allows me to form some new connections, some new friendships.
That's wonderful. And it is indeed a great team that you will be joining, and one that is going to be enriched by your skills and your background. Can you say a little bit about what you did professionally before retirement?
Well, let's see. I was trying to figure out years. It's sort of weird when you get older. So last night, my son's visiting and with his girlfriend, and we watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, the very first one. And my wife told me that movie was produced before my older son, who is now 34, was born. And I couldn't believe it because I almost remember going to the theater and remembering the movie. But I started my career I got my PhD in industrial organizational psychology. I worked first job as a professor at Western Connecticut State University. I went on to work for Department of Defense as a research psychologist, and then joined a local company here called Development Dimensions International. And that's where I spent almost all my career. Our family moved to Florida to start my first 2 years at DDI. Then we relocated in Pittsburgh and I've been here ever since.
Rich, when did you and your family join Temple Emanuel?
Oh, so I'm going to guess at this. We got to go back about 20 years, at least. So, I think Mark was just coming on board. I'm not exactly sure of the timing, but it's been at least 2 decades that we've been in Pittsburgh, and we joined the first year we came.
It's wonderful. That's a depth of connection, and we're fortunate that now is the right time for you to step into that capacity as a leader. So dream with me. Imagine that we're not in COVID upside down times and you have a little bit more free time on your hands, but you're not someone, I imagine, who sits still particularly readily. What keeps you busy? What are you doing for fun? What are you doing for entertainment these days?
Well, the first thing I could do is learn to sit still. That probably would be a helpful skill. I've gone through mindful meditation a number of times in my career and never stuck with it. So being able to sit still for a period of time each day and enjoy the moment, read a book, do something like that. So it wouldn't hurt. But before COVID, this was the year that I wanted to re-engage, to find more purpose in my life. So I started doing hospice work with Gallagher Hospice, and found a lot of that rewarding, and continue to do that. It's a little bit different now because most of their patients are in facilities. So, you can't go in. As part of that, what we're doing is delivering meals from restaurants to hospice families in need. Today, the whole family spent about 8 hours stuffing envelopes for mailing they were doing. So that's one way I've re-engaged. I went through all the training to be a volunteer at Family House. Family House, if people are familiar with it, it's a local organization. It's sort of like a Ronald McDonald's house, except for not pediatric. So they have 3 homes in the community near all the major hospitals. And what they offer is affordable or free lodging for patients who are here and their families who are here for treatment. And so I went through all the training, which is about 2 to 3 days in length, and then bam. So I'm looking forward to that to continue. Joining the Temple Board would be the third thing. Exercising. I think, as some people may know, we have a son, Andrew, with some disabilities. It is definitely a case of a glass 3/4 filled, and he's doing very, very well. But when I was working, I don't think I devoted enough time to helping Ellen take care of his needs. So I do a little bit more of that now, making sure he's up, ready for work. So that occupies a lot of time. So that's it so far. And COVID sort of put a halt on some of these activities. So I suppose when things semi-normalize, I'll continue to go back. Oh, And then also I applied for and was appointed to OSHR CMU board. And that starts in a month. It's a 20-person board, I believe. And so it sounds like it has been. I'm taking several courses. It has been a great institution. And I look forward to helping them as well. All their courses, adult courses, have went virtual. And I have to say, it's sort of interesting because to get from here to CMU with other obligations and rush hour meant we had to devote the entire afternoon. And so between Ellen and I, we could pick one course a semester. Now between us, because it's done virtually, we're in 3 or 4 different courses. So, and I think the virtual experience works just great.
It's opening up whole new ways of
Right.
connecting and engaging. You know, I'm kind of laughing to myself. I hope that the next incoming board member that I get to interview doesn't listen to us tonight. When I ask what they do for fun, the answer is more likely to be Netflix and a glass of wine. And you're finding so many truly enriching ways, not only to enrich your life, but to make the world a little bit better. And I'm grateful for it.
8 o'clock, Netflix or reading or something starts. So
Good. Good.
Now that's
glad.
when I go low key and put it down. So you have worked so hard and dedicated a lot of time to both work and my family that when you retire, I just think I want to do something meaningful, maybe something bigger meaningful. I just have to spend more time finding in what direction I want to go. I joined there's a small study group. Andy joined a group that played Mahjong at Galleria. And they were 4 or 5 ladies, one young lady. I think you may have met one of the ladies' husbands at Susie Hummel's house. And so she invited Andy to participate. And so I took him to the first 2 Mahjong games. And there was a book club meeting there with 2 temple members I recognized. So I asked them what they were doing and ended up inviting myself to that book club where every night, tonight I'll miss it, but every Wednesday they spend 2 hours reading a chapter from a book on modern religious Jewish thought. And so I want to reconnect to Judaism too. And this I felt was an interesting way of doing it. It's pretty deep. I mean, so far when you're having a 2-hour discussion, and I think we had like 3 or 4 back-to-back that had similar themes. So one was on soul, one was on apocalypse, one was on afterlife. And so they're all small chapters. There's around 50 or 60 different chapters. But these 3 or 4, I guess they picked, seem to run together. And it was an interesting discussion. And, the thing you learn, as you can imagine, you probably know this better than anybody, each chapter is written by a scholar, but, they're referring to other scholars. I think they're modern Jewish topics, but I'm not sure the thought is modern Jewish thought. But one thing for sure, you never see any agreement in any of the chapters. So tonight's session was on charity. So I'll read that. And so.
While I see that he is watching, a big shout out to Dave Rulo, one of your study partners.
Yes, and it's a very, very, very bright group. I mean, a guy, I think he belongs to another temple. I don't know if you know Miles Zuckerman.
He does. He belongs to Bethel.
And
Nobody's
Sarah-
perfect, but he's a pretty great guy.
Yeah, yeah. So it's fun.
Good. And while I'm giving shout outs, another shout out to Dr. Dan Erlanger, one of the co-founders of Gallagher Hospice,
Yes.
is doing really great work making that shift, using volunteer time to help support local businesses and restaurants, as well as getting food out to those who could use it during a challenging economic time. So
Yeah, and he's my PCP, so I think he's the one who originally said, "Why don't you go apply and do something for Gallagher?" And that's
good.
where we ended up. So,
I love the way the world works sometimes. Well, Rich, I am so grateful for your time this evening. I'm so grateful to have you serving on Temple Emanuel's Board of Trustees, God willing, as that slate is approved at the annual meeting. Please give my best to Andy and Ellen.
I
Thank
will,
you so much
and
for your time.
and to your family as well.
Thank you. Thank you.